Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer of the OzarkPro onboarding philosophy. Here at OzarkPro, we help writers publish their books while preserving their radically human, authentic voice. Today we're going to do an overview of our core onboarding document, which is called Leaving Oz. We want to walk you through our philosophy so you know exactly what to expect when you work with us. Because let's face it, the traditional publishing world, it is filled with illusions and smoke and mirrors. We're here to help you navigate your way back to your true self. For a lot of people, the writing process feels a bit like trying to speak a foreign language while wearing a straitjacket. Well, we are here to take that jacket off.
So this explainer is going to break down that Leaving Oz field manual. It's fundamentally designed to shift your mindset from a place of anxiety to a place of total empowerment. If you've ever tried to write a book, you've probably felt like you landed in a place that's strange and confusing, a place where an internal wizard of your own ego forces you to perform, constantly manage your image, and hide behind this rigid mask of professionalism. It's absolutely exhausting, isn't it? But you know what? That storm you went through didn't break you. It just exposed the division that was already there, waiting to be healed.
It's honestly just like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. You've probably been told that the only way to succeed is to blindly follow some yellow brick road to see a great expert who holds all the answers. You've been sold this narrative that your own voice just isn't quite good enough on its own. But that road, it's a total distraction. You do not need a fake wizard's permission to succeed. Listen closely to this. You already possess the sovereign soul and the innate power necessary to tell your story. You've literally had the silver slippers on your feet this entire time. The power was always yours.
So the real question we have to ask ourselves is, how do we actually escape this trap? How do we stop performing for an imagined, highly critical audience? How do we stop smoothing out the beautiful rough edges of our natural voice just to fit into some preconceived industry mold and instead build a book based firmly on your true identity? How do we finally take off that heavy mask? Well, we do it systematically, and we do it together.
Okay, let's take a quick look at the agenda for how we're going to get there. First, we'll cover the righteous order. Second, the creative covenant. Third, the voice Bible. Fourth, the microsection method. And finally, number 5, AI as a steward. Let's dive right in.
Section 1. The righteous order. First up, we really need to dismantle this backwards publishing process that literally crushes an author's soul and strips away their distinctive voice before they even hit print. We call our foundational fix for this the righteous order.
See, the world incorrectly teaches you a totally broken sequence. It says you must do work. Like force thousands of words onto a page every single morning whether you feel like it or not, so you can have a book. And then finally, you can be an author who is validated and important. But let me tell you, that having never actually satisfies. The exhaustion of forcing words just leads straight to burnout. At OzarkPro, we completely reverse this. The righteous order demands you start with who you are, your being. What is the emotional temperature of your truth? Who are you right now? We start on that solid ground of being, then we do the aligned work together. And that beautiful book you have at the end, it simply becomes a natural byproduct of your authentic self.
Moving right along to Section 2, the creative covenant. Let's look at how this builds into our core philosophy of right relationships. Because the truth is, you simply cannot have a righteous order without a righteous relationship to guide and protect it.
And that brings us to a crucial definition. We consider our working relationship a covenant. A creative covenant is an editor-client relationship focused squarely on protecting the author's exact voice in a shared, respectful creative space. My absolute duty as your editor is preservation. I am not here to improve your natural voice into something generic for the mass market. You're not beneath me, and I'm not beneath you. We are two sovereign people operating in a confined creative space, and our only job is to help each other produce something deeply, undeniably true.
Now, we both have mutual duties in this covenant. I promise not to violate your style. If you tend to go off on passionate tangents, I won't cut them, just because they seem unnecessary to some traditional Chicago manual of style guide. I'm here to protect your idiosyncrasies. In return, your duty is articulation, not assumption. You must communicate clearly and immediately if I overstep. No waiting until the end of a 6-month project to casually drop a list of a dozen grievances, right? We practice radical honesty without resentment. We tell the truth, right in the moment, to keep the creative space completely clear.
All right, Section 3, the voice Bible. To actually mechanically guarantee this ongoing preservation of your voice, we rely on a very specific, highly effective tool. Think of the voice Bible, which is a document specifically named voice.md, as literally your digital fingerprint. It's a living document that serves as the ultimate reference guide we build together. It documents your unique tone, your specific quirks, and all your preferences. For example, maybe you love starting sentences with the word "and," or you have a really specific dry cadence to your humor. We capture all of that right here. If I am ever unsure whether to change a sentence or leave it be, I don't guess. I consult the Voice Bible. It is the absolute binding authority in our editorial relationship.
It specifically outlines what I can and cannot touch, serving as our project's true north compass. It's broken down into 5 distinct sections. It outlines things we must preserve at all costs. It highlights gray areas where I have to ask you first before making an edit. It defines my specific domain as an editor. It contains key passages of your own writing that act as my baseline calibration tool. And finally, it lists your absolute non-negotiables. It reminds me exactly who you are when I'm in the trenches editing, making sure your spirit is always respected.
Okay, Section 4, the microsection method. So, how exactly do we put this Voice Bible into practice without falling into the usual incredibly frustrating publishing traps?
Well, traditional publishing loves to batch edit massive 40,000-word chunks of text at a time. And that old method leads directly to 3 massive traps. First, the assumption gap, where an editor wrongly assumes they know your voice and takes liberties they definitely shouldn't. Second, the feedback delay, where resentments silently build over weeks of zero communication. And finally, the archaeology trap. That's where an editor makes a major wrong turn on page 10, and someone has to spend 3 grueling weeks digging back through the text to undo the damage. And let's be honest, absolutely nobody wants to play Indiana Jones with their own manuscript.
Our solution to this is a strict 60-day rhythm where we work in microsections. Week 1 is our comprehensive vision interview and project setup. Then, for weeks 2 through 7, the core execution phase, we work on just 500 to 1,000 words at a time. By taking these small bites, we catch any tiny misunderstandings incredibly early. We completely prevent the archaeology trap, and we build rock-solid trust along the way. Finally, week 8 is all about the finalization and formatting of your completed manuscript. We follow this strict execution loop every single week. Step 1, I deliver a microsection of the text. Step 2, you review it alongside your original words to see exactly what was touched. Step 3, I revise based entirely on your immediate feedback. And Step 4, you approve and lock that section. We never ever move forward until you are completely satisfied that your voice has been perfectly preserved. That safety net is always there.
And finally, Section 5, AI as a steward. We've got to talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to modern writing, the use of artificial intelligence. Yes, we absolutely use AI as a tool, but our primary aim is to be more radically human than ever before.
AI is incredibly powerful, sure, but in our ecosystem, it is strictly a steward. It handles the heavy, tedious lifting of text organization and formatting. It follows your voice Bible exactly to structure the raw material. But here is what it does not do. It does not write your book. It does not make subjective, creative choices. The AI has absolutely no ego and no personal preference. Its default setting is simply average. And let me tell you, your voice is not average.
That is exactly why every single AI-generated organizational draft passes directly through human hands. Before you even see it, I verify the emotional temperature, the subtle rhythm, and the profound human nuance that no algorithm could possibly measure. I make sure the raw passion you brought to your first draft isn't somehow flattened by a machine's cold logic. I catch what the machine misses, and I reject the AI's improvements if they strip your unique flavor. The AI is simply the tool, but the craftsman, the heartbeat, and the ultimate authority, those remain entirely human. Which brings us to a massive paradigm shift. Our ultimate goal at OzarkPro is actually for you to eventually not need us at all. We are not building dependency, we are actively building your independence. By the end of this 60-day project, you will completely own your voice Bible. You will have learned exactly how to wield these AI tools alongside it. You're going to walk away having achieved total, empowered authorial autonomy.
As the quote says, the magic is not in the technology. The magic is in the articulation of your own voice. The tools are literally just there to help you pull that voice out. Think of it this way. The AI and the frameworks are just the lake, but your voice Bible is the fishing pole. The soul of the book, the catch itself, will always belong entirely to you and your sovereign identity. You are simply learning to clearly express the identity that God has already placed within you.
So, I'm going to leave you with this one final thought. Are you ready to stop performing? Are you ready to step out of the shadows, leave Oz behind, shed the heavy mask of that internal wizard, and finally build a book that is unmistakably, authentically yours? Because remember, the silver slippers are already on your feet. You just have to choose to click your heels.